The rumors of entitlement cuts follow President Obama's recent op-ed in the Wall Street Journal calling for an end to regulations that place unreasonable burdens on business, which followed the appointments of Bill Daley and Bruce Reed to Chief of Staff for Obama and Vice President Biden, respectively. Daley and Reed are perceived by liberals as business-friendly veterans of the Clinton administration who have been skeptical of President Obama's progressive achievements. So what options do progressives have for moving their agenda forward over the next 2 years? Joining me now are Jane Hamsher, founder and editor of FireDogLake.com, and Adam Green, co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee. Jane, there is a new NBC Wall Street Journal poll that says more people now see Barack Obama as a political moderate, 40%. Which is a 10-point jump since the last time that question was asked in January 2010. Is this good news for President Obama? The White House seems to think it is.
Well, I'm not sure whether it really matters how people view him. It's a matter of whether they think that he's making a difference in their life and whether the policies he's pursuing is bringing about a change in their lives. He's viewed as a person who wants to do the right thing for the country. People trust him, and his numbers have been on the rise all around largely because of the speech he gave after the Gabby Giffords shooting. He really knows how to bring the country together and say what needs to be said during a crisis. But 70% of the country also think that he hasn't brought about the change that they voted for in 2008. And so I think that the challenge before him is going to be, is he going to repeat the mistakes of the Clinton administration and pursue Korea NAFTA free trade the same way that Bill Clinton pursued NAFTA that offshored so many jobs? Or is he going to forge a manufacturing and jobs policy that will bring the country, to where it wants to be in terms of unemployment? And I think that's the question. It's not a partisan question. It's a jobs question.
Adam Green, polling was indicating that he was moving up in the approval numbers before the Tucson incident, and so that polling was crediting the compromising he did with Republicans on the top tax bracket in the lame duck session. There is now this study going on, intense study of the NBC Wall Street Journal poll to try to figure out how much of this bump, if it is a real bump, how much of it is based on his performance in the aftermath of the shootings in Tucson, how much of it is based on his performance in the legislative compromising arena during December. How do you read this poll?
Yeah, I think part of the real beauty of shows like this, Lawrence, is that it's on TV, adding a lot of fresh voices, and we could debunk bad readings of polls and put out correct readings of polls. Let's be very clear. Even any bump that President Obama was seeing before the Arizona tragedy was not because people were happy that he increased tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. Nobody was focusing on that and saying, that's great, let's have more of that kind of compromise. As Jane very eloquently pointed out a couple weeks after that happened, a lot of the things that were passed at the end of the last session were actually very progressive priorities. Don't ask, don't tell. That's one of them. As the Republicans consistently push us to war, the START treaty, which would reduce nuclear weapons, is also another progressive priority. And of course, in the tax cut debate, the portion of the bill that people actually liked was ending tax cuts for millionaires, solidifying tax cuts for just the middle class, and of course the unemployment benefits. So let's not misread the poll and pretend like people really want him to compromise on the wrong issues. That's not what people want.
Jane, there's also this theory about presidents that the public just likes watching them win. That if they get these wins legislatively, or what are reported as wins legislatively in December, it doesn't matter that much, according to this school of thought, what that win is about. The president just starts to look like a winner, and people start to report a higher satisfaction level in those job approval polls. Do you think any of that is at work here?
Entirely possible, but Barack Obama's chances for getting reelected are excellent. Incumbents usually win, and they frequently win. They almost always win if the economy is doing well, if people are employed. So fortunately, in this particular situation, what's good for the country is good for Barack Obama's reelection chances, and the best chance we have, sorry to disappoint you, not to see President Michelle Bachmann. And so I really hope that going forward, my concern is that he's brought Daley in order to pass Korea of free trade, the new NAFTA, that the situation is something that the Chamber of Commerce wants a lot. But we lost so many jobs. We lost millions of jobs after Bill Clinton passed NAFTA. We lost 46,000 industrial manufacturing factories after that. And the last thing we need right now is to be offshoring more jobs, yet that is the policy that they're going to pursue. So I hope that he's going to choose American jobs and not choose the Chamber of Commerce going forward, because I think that's good for him and good for the country.
Adam, the Clinton presidency had a net increase of jobs that was, I think, higher than any we'd seen in any recent 8-year period. Is that what Barack Obama's looking at when he looks at the policies of the Clinton era, whether it be in the area of trade and others? And is there something in that Clinton experience that will guide the Democrats, who, by the way, in the House so far seem to be silent on what their agenda might be, guide the Democrats on how to go forward in the next 2 years?
Well, of course, the #1 priority of Democrats and President Obama has to be and will be jobs going forward. So one big question is, especially given the amazing persuasive ability that Barack Obama reasserted when he gave his Arizona speech, and now he has a chance to give a State of the Union where he outlines a bold, progressive jobs agenda. You know, we had the tech boom in the 90s. Well, why not spend government resources to wire rural America with cutting-edge internet service, create jobs through that in the short term, and create economic opportunity in the long term? One proposal that's actually out there is temporarily lowering the retirement age for Social Security so that older workers who want to leave the workforce, many of whom have jobs that take a toll on their body, let them leave and let younger people get jobs. These would be progressive jobs proposals, and he has a chance to outline that tomorrow. But one thing that would be very tragic, given the poll numbers that you just read, would be if for some reason, in the name of weird compromise, he actually took one of the chiming Democratic Party achievements ever, which is Social Security, and undermined it. We really hope that he does not do that. What he really needs to do is lay out a line in the sand, say, I will not sign any bill that cuts Social Security or raises the retirement age, and instead I'm going to offer a progressive, economic populist vision for job creation and siding with middle-class families over corporations. That would be a huge boon to his popularity and a really necessary thing for the country.
Jane, quickly before we go, has the left given up on gun and ammunition control? There's a deafening silence out there, especially among all the people and the activists who are firing off emails about Social Security and don't touch the retirement age. I'm not here. I mean, I don't monitor all the traffic out there on the internet, but is there anybody talking about this is a life or death issue? This is worth taking a stand on. Those ammunition clips, what Congresswoman McCarthy is trying to do, is something we should be fighting for with every bit of the energy we brought to the public option or the top tax bracket or some of these other issues that the left has been so agitated about in the last 2 years?
Boy, I sure hope so. I mean, if you've even got Dick Cheney out there saying that this would be a good thing, you know, that guy fired off 31 shots in 15 seconds and hit 20 people, and the only reason he stopped was because he had to reload. I mean, it just makes sense, and I hope that people get behind this. I think that there's a sense of frustration, though, because unless there's real leadership coming on the part of the Democratic Party, it's just not going to, people think it's not going to happen.
Well, Jane, you and Adam didn't wait for leadership on the health care bill. You pushed them along and pushed them, I think, to lengths that they weren't going to go to if you guys weren't pushing them. Jane Hamsher of Fire Dog Lake and Adam Green of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, thank you both for joining me tonight.